So we have to do a reenactment of Didier Deschamps giving the keys. He gave him the keys. And he's like, take it. I'll make my team the best possible team with you playing where you want to. There we go, guys. We are back again for another fantastic conversation on Friday Night Counter-Attack. Travis and I are going to be debating our top 5 managers to watch at Euro 2024. We're recording it on the week when Scotland are going to be playing against Germany. Nagelsmann versus Steve Clarke. You only see these matchups in international football. What a fantastic time we've got coming along. Travis, talk to me. Managers, do you think they get so much stick at international football compared to club football because they've got the nation resting on their shoulders?
It's always more pressure, I think. Like you say, with club football, yes, there's millions of fans all around the world, but you don't have the weight of a whole nation resting on your shoulders for what is not even a full season. Like with club managers, you've got plenty of time to fix things and make things right. With tournament football, it's over the course of a few weeks and you get one chance, and if you fail, then you're done.
Eminem, one shot, one chance. What was it he said? I forgot what Eminem said. I forgot the song, Lose Yourself. It's a Lose Yourself song. I forgot what it was called. Anyway, onwards of the show, we're going to be going through our top 5 managers to watch at Euro 2024. Not necessarily the best, but more what we can expect from them and if we're expecting big things from them. So you know already, Gareth Southgate's not making my list at all. Travis, number 5. Straight away, where are you going?
Straight in, I'm going for Steve Clarke with Scotland.
Oh, I like this one.
I think he's shown a lot with this Scottish team. I think they did very well to qualify for the tournament in the first place. They had a tough group with Spain, obviously Georgia and Norway. Cyprus we won't talk too much about, but the other 3 very difficult teams. And obviously Norway have got the attacking prowess of Haaland and Odegaard, people like that. So to even get out of that qualifying group, I thought they did a really good job.
I agree.
It's going to be very tough, but they have got form for beating the big boys. They beat Spain 2-0 in qualifying and had Rodri rattled.
They got Rodri rattled. De La Fuente had no clue what to do. And what made it so joyous for me, Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard are not going to the Euros, but Scott McTominay and Kieran Tierney are. Let's have it, Scotland. I'm ready for it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Tartan Army run towards Germany, because you know what the Scottish fans are like. They will be going there regardless if they can get a ticket. They'll be going for the vibes. They'll be staying to the final. Steve Clarke, bring something back to Scotland. Bring it back to Hampden Park. I want to see what happens with Scotland in the European Championship. Number 5 for me. Can you tell me about Denmark, please? You're an England fan. You know Denmark's in the group.
Yeah, I think they're our biggest challenge from the group. I think Serbia have got some good players, but I do think Denmark are the team to beat in our group, other than England, of course.
Nicely.
I think if we don't finish top of the group, I think the only other team who can is Denmark.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm necessarily scared of them, but I'm excited to see what they do in this tournament. I think they're a good team. They've got a good few young players coming through, people like Højlund, who we're obviously very excited about.
Let's see if you can pronounce the Danish manager's name.
Okay, I'll give it my best shot. Kasper Hjulmand.
Kasper Hjulmand, my boy. Oh man, my Danish fans, I know you're going to be looking at this thinking, you know what? Denmark are always considered a dark horse. And to be fair, I don't think they're no longer dark horses because they're a top international team. They've won the Euros in 1992, got to the semi-finals and lost in extra time to England at Wembley Stadium. Kasper Hjulmand, I'm looking forward to seeing your team. I'm looking forward to seeing how you get the best out of Hjulmand, who's been fantastic for Sporting Lisbon this season. How are you going to get all these strikers into one starting position? I think Højlund's going to start, obviously. Højlund's been their top scorer in European qualifications. They were ridiculous in the game against France recently, winning 2-0. The fact of the matter is, with Hjulmand playing a 3-4-3 formation, he's going to get the best out of Eriksen. And you and I, we love Christian Eriksen.
Yeah,
the fact that I saw Eriksen score a goal from outside the box, I was saying to my wife, I was like, he never shoots for Man United. He never shoots for Man United. And he gets the freedom to shoot for Denmark. I love this side of Denmark, and I love this side of Kasper Hjulmand as well. I want to see more from him. I want to see them go all the way to the quarters, semis, maybe even the final once again, because they have an underdog story. And for me, I think Denmark are a better national team than the Netherlands right now as well. And dare I say Belgium, because I've got a lot of faith in Kasper Hjulmand as well. So number 5, Kasper Hjulmand.
I agree with the Belgium shout. Netherlands is a big one, but I agree that they probably will do better than Belgium at this tournament.
I mean, if Netherlands had Louis van Gaal at the wheel, I'd still be backing them as well.
Good point. Good point.
Number 4, where we go?
Number 4, I'm going for someone quite new to international management.
Ooh.
Luciano Spaletti, Italy coach. Look, he's only had 10 matches in charge of the Italian national team, but I think it's a really good crop of players that they've got there. And
he was a hot man on form in Italy, winning the Scudetto with Napoli after 30 years or so, then going to the national team when Mancini went off to Saudi Arabia. So
Correct.
he is the hot man that they've been looking for. And we've seen this season Napoli finishing low in the top half of the table in Serie A, not getting Champions League football. They missed him so much. They didn't need as much Osimhen or Kvaratskhelia. They needed the man manager in Spalletti. And for me, Spalletti is going to get the best out of Chiesa. You know they're going to hold out for 1-0 wins, and you know they're going to hold out for second position in this group stage. And for me, it's all about tournament football, because at the end of the day...
Totally agree. I think club football, especially the modern age that we live in as football fans, there's a huge emphasis on playing the right way, and everyone trying to play like Pep Guardiola does, or Mikel Arteta, or whoever. But at international level, it doesn't really matter. Like I said before, you have one chance to get it right. You can't work on it over the course of a season and get it right in the second half of the season and put a good run together. You have one chance, and if you fail, then again you're done, aren't you? So absolutely. Yeah, I think they'll play the Italian way in this tournament. Like you say, I think they'll be holding out for the 1-0 wins. They'll be maybe practicing a bit of the dark arts of football at times. But ultimately, that's going to be good to see a bit of diversity in the way that teams play across the tournament.
The one thing for me, before we move on to my number 4, is the fact that Italy always know how to win. Whether you've got an old team or a young team, they know about the dark arts and they know about slowing down the game. And you know for a fact that Spalletti will be taking that into his dressing room for every single game, which will be great going forward. Number 4 for me, Portugal's Roberto Martinez. It's fun to see how amazing this ITV presenter turned football manager has been. We've got one of them of our own in England, and it's not been very good. But to see Roberto Martinez do fantastic after being a Wigan Athletic FA Cup winner and to be the Belgian manager during the Golden Generation, he's been unbeaten besides one game in his tenure as Portugal manager. He's been absolutely fantastic. At the time of recording, they beat Republic of Ireland 3-0 at home with Cristiano Ronaldo scoring twice. He knows how to manage Cristiano Ronaldo. He knows how to manage the big players. And for me, this is what we need in tournament football. We don't need someone like Santos, who got too big for his boots in Qatar. And to see how Gonzalo Ramos has dropped off since Qatar as well. Nah, not for me. Not for me. Roberto Martinez, I want to see you manage this superstar team, and I want you to go all the way far, because you are the favourites for me, and I've predicted you to win. But for me, Travis, I need to ask you, with Roberto Martinez, if he wins with Portugal, do you then consider him an elite manager?
No.
That's the thing, because with Portugal, with international football, you never consider them elite managers unless they've won a couple of things.
I think that's tournament football as a whole.
Like AFCON, you wouldn't consider it. Asia Cup, World Cup, like Scaloni, you wouldn't want him to manage.
Even at club football, Roberto Di Matteo has won a Champions League. Would you consider him an elite manager? What has he done since? Nothing. And what I would say with regards to Martinez is, even if he does win this tournament with Portugal, I think there's too much behind him to prove that he's not an elite manager.
And he's got it all to work for.
Yeah, exactly. Look, if he wins the tournament with this Portugal team, it'll be an unbelievable achievement, and obviously he'll fully deserve his flowers if he does win it, because there are a lot of good teams at this tournament, and most of the big nations are looking quite strong. But yeah, I don't think it makes him an elite manager.
No, that's fair enough.
I'm going for Nagelsmann, actually. Nice. Germany coach. There's a lot of pressure on him in this tournament, with it being a home tournament for them. You always expect the home nation to do well, especially when it's one of the bigger nations in world football.
Bringing back Toni Kroos is a big play from him as well.
Massively, yeah. The leadership that he can bring to that squad, it's almost like having a manager on the pitch when you've got someone like Kroos with the leadership and the experience that he's got. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Germany can do. Weird thing to say as an Englishman, because we don't always get along at the best of times.
They're always going to do well.
They've got a really good crop of young players, and like I said, the pressure is on for Nagelsmann and for Germany as a whole. But yeah, I think they'll put quite a good run together at this tournament.
Nicely done. Number 3 for me, I'm going back to my home. I'm going back to my native home of... No, I'm not going for Spain. I'm joking. I'm going for Spain. I'm going to Austria, and I'm going for Ralf Rangnick. Ralf Rangnick has been very, very impressive for Austria since I've watched him move from Manchester United to the international game. His philosophy has been fantastic. Seeing the likes of Kevin Danso, Patrick Wimmer, Marcel Sabitzer, David Alaba and Marko Arnautovic thrive in this new system. Unfortunately for Austria, Travis, David Alaba isn't going to be making it to the tournament due to his injury, but their counter-pressing system has worked so well. I say all the time, but I had the luxury of going to watch Sweden versus Austria back in September, and I was there, full Sweden kit, I was ready for it, speaking to all the Sweden fans, and Austria ruined the party. Ralf Rangnick ruined the party. And he's here to do it at the Euros as well. He's in a group with Netherlands, with France, and with Poland as well. I predict Austria to finish second in the group D as well, behind France and ahead of the Netherlands. My question to you, Travis, with Ralf Rangnick moving forward, do you think he's been disrespected as a manager because he's gone to Austria, or do you think there's still more to come from such a great football in mind in football? Great football in mind in football, great football in mind.
I think Austria is a really, really good job for him. I think with the Man United job, he got swallowed up really. And look, it wasn't his fault.
As a temporary job.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault at all. He was never supposed to be Man United manager. That wasn't the way it was supposed to go.
And everything he said as well was true.
Exactly.
Now, everything's being changed due to what Ralf Rangnick said in a press conference. Fair play, Ralf Rangnick.
Yeah, and I do think they made a couple of wrong decisions. One, making him the manager, and also two, canning him too early. I think that if they'd have never made him manager and left him in a role, a technical director role that he was supposed to be in, with someone like Erik ten Hag below him to coach the team, that could have been a really, really good project. So, look, what Austria's gain is Man United's loss in this case.
Yeah.
And I think something a little bit lower profile for him, but somewhere on the international stage like this, in a tournament where he can still show how brilliant a football mind he is, like you say. I think it's the perfect recipe for success for Rangnick. It is the group of death, though, isn't it, that group, I think? It's the most difficult group on the face of it, I would say.
Spain, Italy, Croatia, Albania, that's a big one as well.
The only reason I say Group D is I think that, at least with Spain's group, you can say, well, Albania are going to finish bottom of that group. But
don't hate us, Albania fans.
But with Group D, I think, realistically, we know France are going to go through, of course they are, but realistically, I think Netherlands, Poland or Austria, any of them could go through that group, any of the three.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good one, interesting one to keep an eye on.
Number 2, Travis, where we go?
Number 2, don't shoot me, Gareth Southgate. The reason I say Gareth Southgate, hear me out.
Why?
The reason I say Gareth Southgate, simply because...
He's not a good manager.
Well, you said at the start of the video, this is managers to watch, not necessarily the best managers. If it was best managers...
I appreciate that.
If it would...
My bad, I'm holding it up my hands. My bad.
If it was best managers, he's nowhere near it. For me, the reason why I've got Southgate at number 2 here is I do think it'll be his last tournament for England.
Good. Get him gone.
I think...
He should have been gone after the Euros last time, of the penalties. Awful decisions to be making. Bringing those 2 young players onto the pitch with 2 minutes to go made no sense. Grealish was on, Sterling was on. They could have taken penalties, but he didn't make that. He didn't make that judgment call in the right way, and we lost. Remember, we were leading. Belotti missed the first penalty. Maguire then scored. We had the advantage, and we lost it because the 2 players who came on the pitch with 2 minutes to go were not match fresh at all.
Yeah, they weren't sharp.
We'll never forgive him for that.
Yeah, it was a weird decision.
It's anti-Rashford.
Hopefully, if we get into another shootout this time around, he learns from it and doesn't make the same mistake.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I say, the reason he's in at number 2 for me is obviously because I'm English, they're the team I'm going to be paying most attention to anyway. But it is really a make or break tournament for him in terms of his international legacy. He's done so much good for England in fixing the squad harmony, making it a team rather than a group of individuals who play for a set of different clubs. But it hasn't actually delivered anything physical and tangible yet. And I think, like I say, this tournament, I think it will be his last one. I think if he doesn't win it, he might get sacked. If he wins it, I think he'll walk.
And there's not going to be the Man United manager anymore because Ten Hag is staying. Let's go!
Yeah, you're happy about that one, aren't you?
So happy.
But yeah, I think the reason I've got him in number 2 is, like I say, it's a make or break tournament for him. Very important for his legacy. Very important for his career going forward, I think, as well. I think he needs to show that he can actually deliver something and he's not just a nearly man. But yeah, we'll see with Southgate.
Nicely done. My number 2, we're going to France, but we're not going to France for Didier Deschamps. We're going to France for a former player. Do you remember Willy Sagnol? Was he before your time?
Before my time.
Okay, he's a quality right back. Played for Bayern Munich and he played for France national team as well. I don't think he won the World Cup, but he was there from like 2002 onwards to 2008, and he is managing Georgia. He is one for me to watch because Georgia have qualified for their first ever major senior international tournament, and I'm really, really pleased to see someone like Georgia come into this tournament. It's going to be fantastic. And they play a 3-5-2 system. They thrashed Cyprus in the group stages as well. And the fact of the matter is they play with attacking wing backs, which means Kavica Kvaratskhelia, who everyone knows is so cold from Napoli, he's going to be playing as more of a striker, so he's going to have less defensive responsibilities. He'll be allowed to have some freedom on the ball, and this is where, for me, Travis, it feels like Wales 2016 all over again. Wales finally back at an international tournaments. They have a superstar in their ranks. I'm not going to call Kavica world class like Gareth Bale was, but he is a superstar nevertheless, and he's their talisman for their country. They've got their goalkeeper Marviashvili, I may pronounce that wrong, apologies, he plays for Valencia. They've also got a striker who plays for Metz, who I'm not going to butcher his name as well. I need to learn my Georgian names. I apologise, ladies and gentlemen. But what do you think about Georgia being in the group with Czech Republic, Portugal and Turkey? Do you think they can qualify as the best of third or maybe even a second with Willy Sagnol as manager?
I think they've got a very good chance. I think when you're in your first tournament overall, or your first tournament in a long time, like Wales were in 2016, like you mentioned, you've got momentum behind you, because just the feeling of being there means that it's the biggest stage that any of these players have probably ever played on, maybe barring Kvicha.
Yeah.
And it'll be the biggest games of their careers so far.
Kvicha's first group stage will definitely be bigger than the Champions League for me. So I definitely think Kvicha will take that pressure and that ownership onto his shoulders as well.
Hopefully, yeah. And I think the group that they're in,
I think it's going to be Portugal in a free-for-all.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That was kind of what I was trying to get at. I didn't really word it very well. But I think it's a very open group, and they've got every chance of going through. And with the rules being as they are this year, with the 4 of the 6 third-place teams going through,
why not?
Even if they don't get second, the teams around them other than Portugal are there for the taking. They can take points off them. So even if they don't finish second, they finish third, the other teams around them are able to be gotten at for points. So I think that even if they don't finish second, they've got a very good chance of going through as one of those best third-place teams. So I hope they go through. I really do, because you always want to see these underdog stories and you want to see these success stories from smaller nations.
Iceland 2016, of course, fantastic.
Well, we didn't like to see that one.
Remember, they scored in the last minute against Austria to play against England. If they just drew, Portugal would have faced England in the round of 16, and we would have
beaten us anyway.
They would have beaten us anyway. Exactly.
So yeah, it doesn't matter.
But yeah, number 2, Willy Sagnol. Numero 1, where are we going, Travis? Is it literally just going to be the basic answer that we've got on our thumbnail?
Probably. It's the big man behind me, Didier Deschamps.
Didier Deschamps, the man who got Pogba playing amazing football, the man who's got Kylian Mbappe playing amazing football, the man who refuses to give up on Olivier Giroud, and the man who revitalised Antoine Griezmann's career. One of the greatest international managers of all time, definitely of my time as well. A fantastic player in his heyday as well. But Travis, I know you've got a question for me, but my question for you before we begin, would you consider Didier Deschamps world class as a manager?
I think you have to, just from his pedigree of what he's delivered for France during his tenure.
Yeah.
Any manager who wins a World Cup has got to be in the conversation. But the fact that they're just one of, if not the favourite for every tournament they've been in since he's been manager, I think it just goes to show how well he's managed that squad and how
he's continued to grow the squad.
Yeah, and how good of a culture that he's cultivated there, because no matter who drops out of the squad or comes in, they always go into tournaments with the winning mentality, and that is such a good thing to be able to bring to a squad, and something that very, very few managers in international football, or even club football included, can bring. So yeah, I think he's got to be labelled world class, and I think he's one of the greatest international managers we've ever seen.
Fantastic. Do you think you get the best out of Kylian Mbappe?
Yeah,
you can't not get the best out of Kylian Mbappe for France, because that's what he's playing for. He is the national hero. He is the marketable boy as well. He wanted to go to the Olympics at the same time in the same summer, and is off to Real Madrid. So if Kylian Mbappe leaves the Euros, if he leaves Berlin on the 14th of July with another trophy, it's thanks to this man. It's thanks to Didier Deschamps allowing him to play such a free reign in this international side, and has given Mbappe the keys. He's like, you know what? This is what we have to do. So we have to do a reenactment of Didier Deschamps giving the keys. He gave him the keys, and he's like, take it. I'll make my team the best possible team with you playing where you want to. And has gone on to go to a World Cup final and win in 2018. He's gone on to the World Cup final and lost on penalties when his team had food poisoning. Giroud and Griezmann off in the first half, which was incredible. He lost against Switzerland, that amazing Jan Sommer penalty save. when they were actually winning 3-1 with 75 minutes and Pogba scored that amazing goal. Oh, la pioche, incredible. Magnificent. Magnifique, I should say, in French as well. But all praise has got to go for Didier Deschamps. He is the benchmark of international managers. And for me, when I'm looking at him, he's got the team to beat, he's the manager to beat. And at the end of the day, I've got so much respect for Didier Deschamps as a player and especially as a manager, because for him to get the best out of these amazing, talented French players year in, year out, that's something special. But do you agree or disagree with us? Comment below, and we'll see you next time.